Hello, I was at the library today. I returned A Christmas Carol. I was doing a course on A Christmas Carol and economic inequality, and then I was looking for something to read. I found this Ebony Rising, short fiction from the Harlem Renaissance era. So I said, I'll get this. And I just opened it to look in it. One thing I have to say about Irvington, New Jersey, the library is excellent. The library is excellent. That's about, and my neighbors are really, really, really good people, really good hearts. Um, but as a municipality, it's the worst thing I've ever seen in my life, and I've seen a lot of bad things. But I'm gonna read this. It's called "A Hope Deferred" or "Hope Deferred." Alice Dunbar Nelson, and everybody likes a dream deferred, so I said, "Oh, Hope Deferred," and it's the first story. So let's read it together. Let's see. The direct rays of the August sun smote on the pavement of the city and made the soda water signs in front of the drugstores alluringly suggestive of relief. Women in scant garments, displaying a maximum of form and a minimum of taste, crept along the pavements, their mussy light frocks suggesting a futile disposition on the part of the wearers to keep cool. Traditional looking fat men mopped their faces and dived frantically into screen doors to emerge redder and more perspiring. The presence of small boys scantily clad and of dusky hue and languid steps marked the city, if not distinctively Southern, at least one of the borderland between the North and the South. Edwards joined the perspiring mob on the hot streets and mopped his face with the rest. His shoes were dusty, his collar wilted as he caught a glimpse of himself in a mirror of a shop window. He smiled grimly. Hardly a man to present himself before one of the lords of creation to ask a favor, he muttered to himself. Edwards was young, so young that he had not outgrown his ideals. Rather than allow that to happen, he had chosen one to share them with him. And the man who can find a woman willing to face poverty for her husband's ideals has a treasure far above rubies, and more precious than one with a thorough understanding of domestic science. But ideals do not always apply or supply the immediate wants of the body, and it was the need of the holy material that drove Edward's wilted arm and discouraged into August sunshine. The man in the office in which the elevator boy directed him looked up impatiently from his desk. The windows of the room were open on a courtyard where green treetops waved in a humid breeze. An electric fan whirred and sent forth flashes of coolness. Cool-looking leather chairs invited the dusty traveler to sit into their depths. Edwards was not invited to rest, however. Cold gray eyes and an impressive pallid face fixed him with a sneering stare, and a thin icy voice cut into his half-spoken words with a curt dismissal in its tone. Sorry, Mr. But I shan't be able to grant your request. His good morning in response to Edward's reply as he turned out of the room was the curtest, and left the impression of decided relief at an unpleasant duty discharged. Now where? He had exhausted every avenue, and this last closed the door of hope with a finality that left no doubt in his mind. He dragged himself down the little side street which led home instinctively as a child draws near to its mother in its trouble. Margaret met him at the door, and their faces lighted up with the glow that always irradiated them in each other's presence. She drew him into the green shade of the little room, and her eyes asked, though her lips did not frame the question, No hope, he made reply to her unspoken words. She sat down suddenly as one grown weak. If I could only just stick it out, little girl, he said. But we need food, clothes, and only money buys them, you know. Perhaps it would have been better if we hadn't married, she suggested timidly. That thought had been uppermost in her mind for some days lately. Because you are tired of poverty? He queried, the smile on his lips belying his words. She rose and put her arms around his neck. You know better than that, but because if you do not have me, you could live on less, and thus have a better chance to hold out until they see your worth. I'm afraid they never will, he tried to keep his tones even, but in spite of himself, a tremor shook his words. The man I saw today is my last hope, and he is the chief clerk, and what he says controls the opinions of others. If I could have gotten past his decision, I might have influenced the senior member of the firm. But he is a man who leaves details to his subordinates, and Mr. Hannon was suspicious of me from the first. He isn't sure, he continued with a little laugh, which he tried to make sound spontaneous, whether I am a stupendous fraud or an escaped lunatic. We can wait. Your chance will come, she soothed him with a rare smile. But in the meanwhile, he finished for her and paused himself. A sheaf of unpaid bills in the afternoon mail, with the curt and wholly unnecessary "Please remit" in bold, impertinent characters across the bottom of every one, drove Edwards out into the wilting sun. He knew the main street from end to end. He could tell how many trolley poles were on its corners. He felt that he almost knew the stones in the buildings, and that the pavements were worn with the constant passing of his feet. So often in the past 4 months, he had walked at first buoyantly, then hopefully, at last warily up and down its length. So we'll stop there and pick up. We know what this is like. Hard life. And 2021 is going to be filled with it if these stimulus packages are not a normal part of our economy. We are going to be in a hard situation. And I'm including myself in that. So let's hope that the powers that be do what's necessary to keep us living at a human level and not allow our society to sink into hell on earth. Until next time, take care of yourself, take care of your mind, take care of your body, and be safe.